Well, good day, everybody. 24th of November, and getting very interesting now. We're officially on a storm watch, and looks like Explorer and Stern are going to have some fun in the days ahead. Anyway, I think I'll probably go straight into that to save the suspense. But it's that storm we spoke about last night is actually intensifying, and it's still very unstable because the computer models are actually showing two different scenarios. And generally, though, it's going to be 50 knots, gusting up to 90 knots. So it's quite a system, and we're watching it very closely. So let's just have a look here at the moment. I'll get on to this is the tracker, and just give you a bit of a rundown. First of all, this is Explorer here, obviously, and Sterner today, but that's not today's weather. That's actually the weather on the 30th of November. And this is, by then their projected position is around about here somewhere. And this is the type of system we're looking at. And even this isn't quite correct as per Windy. Anyway, we'll get off of that at the moment, and I'll come back to today's weather and just explain exactly what's going on. So both Sterner and Explorer are making reasonable progress. Sterner's doing 6 knots at the moment, and 100-mile day. It's a little bit soft. Explorer did a little bit better than that, 138 nautical mile day, doing 7 knots at the moment. And I've suggested to both of them that they keep their options open and run down the 40th parallel of latitude here, just while this system's approaching and so on. There's not a lot to be gained by going up or down at the moment because it's generally inconsistent weather, so they've got enough breeze to sail there at the moment. And if we just follow that through, you'll see 130 150 mile days is probably going to be pretty normal. I'll just pick this up a bit. So it's just average conditions. Hit that again and push it through. So there's the 25th coming through. There's enough breeze there to keep sailing. And you can see the first system coming through. This is just going to give them a bit of a kick. So they've got some nice breezes. And this will be very important because this is the only option they've got to maneuver. If we come back a little bit, if I come back here, you can see starting the 26th, they start to get enough breeze and they could maneuver north or south. Okay. They could also sit tight and sit there and let this system come over them because it's going to build up when it's over here. So if you imagine this, sometime, this is on the 26th, so sometime on probably late tomorrow, we've got to commit to a course for both of the boats to have the least amount of impact on the potential for this growing system. This isn't the one. This is one that's going to give them some breeze, but that's sort of like 30 knots gusting 40. They've got a bit of speed there. If we wanted to go north, they could start veering up in this direction and get higher. If they wanted to go down, if they wanted to get underneath the system that's coming, they could, but it's a little bit harder, but still an option. So you can see coming through to the 27th, there's still plenty of maneuver room here. If we were, they'd be up here somewhere starting to head up, or they could start to come down, but I'll keep that in mind. There's an opportunity there to sail. And so by the time we get to around about here on the 28th, that's 4 days from now. So 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, it's hang on, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Yeah, they've got 4 full days of sailing at 150 miles. So 150 miles a day. So we're going to talk about 600 miles ahead. They're going to be around about here somewhere if they kept going straight, or they could be up here somewhere. Okay, if they're going north, and that's bringing it up to about 35 south. And if we really wanted to, we could get them to dip down a bit as well. So, but that's about the maximum opportunity they're going to have to get north. They might be able to get up to about 35 south, okay, if they were trying to get out of the way of something. That's on the 28th, okay. And then if we carry on, the problem that happens then is in between these two building systems, there's not much breeze. So if they're up here, you can see now they've got a northwesterly coming, and there's not a lot of breeze there, so they haven't been able to move much, so they'd be up around 35. If they rode it through, they'd be down around here somewhere, still close to the 40s. They wouldn't want to dip too far in that last system. So they're, sitting around here somewhere. There's another day, so they would have progressed a bit further. And by the time, and this is the system that's coming across. It's really unstable and really quite violent. It hasn't formed up at that stage, but it starts to take shape and starts moving very quickly across. So at this stage now, by the 29th, they're getting close to 50 degrees 50 degrees east of Greenwich over here somewhere, okay, somewhere in this realm. If they had made northing up here, you can see that they've got a northerly, so they'd be just holding their own, and 35 is as high as they're going to get, all right? And that's important to remember because they're going to be on the safe side of any storm that's forming up. You can see the centre's holding steady, but the system itself is now intensifying and growing around the centre, which is still unstable. It's getting very tight. You can see very quickly, and this is where the danger is, the sea state, you get caught in here, you've got real issues. You've got these now strong easterlies coming through. It's already picking up to be, in the 50s, 45, 50 knot of forecast wind with much stronger gusts. And this rotating motion here creates quite dangerous seas, and you just don't want to be there. So if they were up here, you can see if this was the model, that would be pretty perfect, because if they're up around 35, they're going to have, sort of 30 something knot winds gusting 40, 45, but it's blowing behind them and can actually keep pushing them away in the south sector, not be sucked into the middle here. So going south, trying to get down here preceding the arrival of this low is not a smart move, because you're on the dangerous quadrant. It's going to suck you back in. The waves, you can't take them head on. You're going to have to hove to or something, which you can never do safely in the Southern Ocean. And you're getting drawn into this nightmare that's coming. And so this is on the 29th, going through to about 30th. And you can see now it's really forming up, intensifying. You're getting sort of 60, 70, 80 knots around in the gusts around this section here where it compresses. And if they were up at 35, it would still be a pretty smart move to do, because they can still run away from the center, okay? And that's obviously, if this model was correct, and mark my words, if this model was correct, that would obviously appear to be the smart thing to do. Now, if you look at this here, this is 50 degrees east of Greenwich. There's the center. This is 40 degrees. So it's a little bit, it's probably about 38 south and about 47 east. All right. So remember that, between 50 and 40, that's it there. Now, this model that comes on the Yellow Brick Tracker is a combination of a few different models. So I'm going to go back now and pull up the windy model, which is, far more accurate. Okay, and here comes the windy model, and the first thing that you see is that this now is 35. 40 is down here. The timeline for this is actually the same as the one I just came off the Yellow Brick Tracker. So you can see the windy model for this, the center of this low, which is the ECMWF model, is suggesting it's substantially higher, 300 miles higher, because the 50 is here. This is 50 degrees east of Greenwich, and there's 40 degrees south of the equator, 40 degrees parallel. So that would mean if the guys were up here at this time, they're going to be in the worst possible spot. Because as that comes over, they're gonna. This is the quadrant. This is the most extreme point, and so they won't be able to get up to 30 degrees south. It's too far up. So this model is suggesting that there's no way they can get above it, which means they've got to look at going under it. And if this model was correct, it's possible, because there is 40 degrees south, right along here. And it wouldn't be impossible for them in the days preceding it to try and get down here. And when it blows from the southeast like this, they just keep going south, because there's nothing down there. You just get away from the system. You might not be going to the east, but you can always just come down south and get away from it and let it pass. So that's the first issue, that it's so unstable, even though it's 4 days ahead. You don't really know where the position is. If we go the Icon model, this is the next one. It's completely different. It hasn't even come yet. It's way back behind there, but they only forecast up to 28 days, but it is completely different than what it is on the ECMWF model. And the GFS model is pretty much the same. It's showing a little bit. This one's showing closer to what is on the Yellowbit tracker, because I believe that the model they've got on the Yellowbit tracker is a combination of the ECMWF and the GFS model. So, this is shaping up to be what I call, this storm has got their name all over it. Sterner and Explorer are going to get hit with this, and it's very hard to even give them too much of advice of where to go, because the variance there between the two, you see it just completely, just completely in the way. And as you can see here, there's 80, 90 knots in here, gusting. This is gusts. And the forecast wind is around 50 knots in these areas here. Before it gets there, it's a little bit more mild. The forecast of 40, gusting 60 probably. Down here, forecast again 45, gusting probably 65. But it creates a horrible sea as it's coming through. It's going to move through pretty quick, but it's still, and it breaks up really quick as well. So that's a day or so later. But there's 48 hours going to come through here of very tricky conditions. So to say the least, we're watching it very closely. We gave them weather advice this morning just to maintain at 40 for the moment, and we'll have to make some decisions on what might be the best course of action for these guys. In the next 24 hours from now, we'll be a little bit closer to a more accurate forecast. The sad news is that low pressure is absolutely intensifying, and that's the sort of thing that the models usually get correct. They'll say it's not going to weaken, blowing apart. It is going to get more intense, but they're not sure exactly where it's going to go, which makes it very hard for both Sterner and Explorer to completely miss it. So we'll keep you updated on that. Boats are well found, the crews are really good, and there's some excitement maybe coming ahead. Let's hope it all just fizzes in the next 4 days, because it's a long way off, and anything can happen, but we are watching it closely. Okay, so what's happening here is pretty much what we discussed yesterday. The big high pressure system here is opening up a little bit. So a few people not going anywhere in a hurry. 3.5 knots for translated, 4.8 for Maiden, 7.3 for Penjuic. So that's okay. At least they've gone around the waypoint, and they not heading south, because they're not heading down really quick, because they know that there'll be not much wind underneath them. Anyway, we'll start at the back end of the fleet. We've got White Shadow, 7.7 knots, moving quite well, 155 nautical mile a day, 11th in line honours, 11th in IRC, and 3rd in Sayula class, having a good time. We spoke today to Maiden. They were in top form. I'll let you guess who the crew member is, but I can always identify her just by her voice, and she's also always so happy and having a great time. So it was a good chat with Maiden, and we also spoke to L'Esprit de Keep. Ada was there, so it was all in French, but they had a bit of fun on that, so that was good. Neptune, 8.9 knots, 200 mile day, or 199, so that's pretty good. Sailing in a slightly west of north breeze there, and heading up to keep it on the beam. Outlaw, doing 8 knots, 165 nautical mile a day. Nice sailing. Evrique got a little bit more breeze, doing 9.10 knots. You can see that they're closer to the heavier winds there, but enjoying that. 197 miles in the day. 9th in line honours, 8th in IRC, 2nd in Sayula class. And right down the bottom here, Galliana with Secure, 8.5, enjoying the strong breezes on the port quarter. So they'd be loving that. They'd have everything up probably. 196 nautical mile a day. And Triana, 8.6, 206 mile day. So they've got the hammer down. And L'Esprit de Keep, 8.7, 158. So they went soft a bit, obviously, and they would have had this centre over the top of them, and now it's pulling away. So they'll start to fill in the breeze a bit. The Spirit of Helsinki, 8.1 and 121 nautical mile a day. So they've been sitting in the hole, but they've finally got the breeze coming back now. So that's a bonus. So what's happened to the handicapping? Penjuic, 1st in line honours, 1st in IRC, 1st in flyer class, 7.3, 200 mile day. They're still moving, so that's good. They'd be holding their own on that. And translated, still holding second, 3.5 knots, but they still look as if they did all right. 177 mile day. That's okay. And Maiden, 104 mile day. So they've been in no man's land, but having a good time. They were saying it's pretty calm out there at the moment, and they're enjoying the sunshine. So that's all good. So if we can probably see what's happening with the weather here as we push it forward on that scale. Just pushing through now. So coming up to midnight-ish tonight, it's all softening off. That northerly on the back end of the fleet, it's still a bit of breeze there. That'd be 30 something knots, gusting 40 maybe. Seas at the back end, down here, seas probably around 3 meters or so. And then Maiden's got a problem. They've got headwinds, but very soon they'll be able to reach down. I'm not sure what they'll do. They won't carry on up that way. As soon as it fills in a bit, they'll tack and they'll start heading down here. For sure. But then again, they've got the waypoint there. That's interesting. You can't quite see the waypoint. It's behind the translated. If I build that up a bit, it might disappear. Yeah, there it is. So they're going to have to look at that issue. They'll tack, but they've got to get around that. It's still a fair way away. Let's just the scale of distance here. Oh yeah, 300 miles. That's a day. It'll roll before then, so that's easy. So if I come back here, just because we're looking at the weather rather than the boat positions. So that's we're now on second day out. So we're coming through on the 26th, and they're still they'll still be all right. Translated, once they get around, they'll be able to. Oh no, it's going to be to windward. They got to translator got to climb up, but it's the second day. They would have been around then, so not perfect, but it's still okay. All these boats back here. Sorry. I must have forgotten to send it back. Jeepers, sorry. Okay, so I forgot to go back on the. I went there, but I didn't take you there, so I'll just pull this back. Thank you, Jean. Here we go. Hang on. Now I got to get on the tracker. Okay, I'm going to just walk you back on that now. So I'm not sure how far back we went on that. So you probably didn't see any of the stuff that I had going. But anyway, this is the weather they've got now. And White Shadow, 7.7 knots. Neptune, you can see they've got a northerly, 8.9 knots. Outlaw, you've got doing quite well at the back end of the high. So 8 knots. Evrika, again, got a nice breeze there, 9.1. And Galliana in a little bit more color, so a little bit strength, 8.5. So that's pretty cool. I'll just bring this up here. And Triana, 8.6. There you got l'Esprit de Keep. You can see there on the back edge of the center of the high, which has moved away from them. So that's 8.7. Spirit of Helsinki just coming back into the breeze. So they only did a 120-mile day, but they're doing 8 knots now. And they'll keep that speed because the center's moving away. So they'll have this northerly. They're on the back. Maiden, 100-mile day, but doing 4.8 and tacking into this breeze that's now coming down in front of them. And as this moves away, it'll roll across and come from the north. So they'll be able to tack back. Translated 9, 3.5 knots because they were right in the middle of the high. Not much wind, but still did a 177-mile day. And Penduic over there, 7.3. So sorry about that mix up with the weather. I was, too many buttons to press and get on the right bits, but sorry. So now I'll just push this through and we'll get to show you what's going on as the weather progresses. So this is the 25th and getting up to 24 hours later. So there's about 24 hours later. So generally everyone here's got a northerly breeze coming up. So they'll be on port tack. This northerly is getting softer as the time goes by, but still plenty of breeze there to keep them moving. They'll all enjoy that. No big storms per se, just a classic front. And then by the time they're getting through to 48 hours out, there's about 48 hours coming up now. They've all got breeze. They're all making good time. And it's just that there's going to be a bit of a climb in the headwind for some of these. Spirit of Helsinki, they've got to get over the waypoint, which is just underneath the name of Translated 9 there. So that's it. So 2 days. And then it comes across here and it gets a bit messy. There's a low pressure system forming right around them here, but most of them will be across here. That's the 28th, so it's 4 days ahead. They'll be, give you an idea, 4 days ahead. That's about 600-700 miles from there. So 600-700, yeah, they'll just be coming around the waypoint. This group of boats here will all be getting around the waypoint as you've got this kind of weather here. So it's going to get tactical a little bit. They're going to have a few challenges. There's a few northerlies there and northeasterlies and stuff, which is right from where they want to come. So just sneak peek over to the 30th. No, it all looks pretty good. No storms there. It's all happening behind them back here. And this is the whole deal. There's the Explorer deal happening as we speak on this one. See it again from a different angle as it's coming through. There it gets building up really intense on the 30th, 31st. And where should they be? It'd be very easy and a lot easier if this was the correct model, but it's not really playing fair there, but that's how it goes. So that's really about it. I don't think we can have a quick look at the IRC. You can see how the line on the stack up, but IRC, we'll see what's happening with the front leaders. Penduic and Translated, that's all interesting. 38.20, only 1 hour in it, not exactly 1 hour and a few seconds between Penduic and Translated on IRC, and then a day and a bit back to Triana and Maiden. Oh, Triana's come up on Maiden. That's interesting. So Triana's holding third overall in IRC, and Maiden's dropped back a little bit there. So a full day. So Triana are a day up on Maiden. That's right too, because they're not very far behind physically. So Triana will be happy with that. Very happy. And that puts Triana only, it was about 3 days or 2 and a bit days behind the leaders. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we'll come back here and I'll just see if there's any questions or anything. Yeah, sorry about that weather mix-up. Sometimes I get distracted when I'm intense. I've got to remember to press the right buttons because I don't see it on the one screen. I've got to go back and forwards. So g'day, Pete. South Africa warm. Yeah, it's cold and drizzly here, but anyway. Mississippi, g'day. Southampton. Yeah, it's a big one coming, and they're going to keep us busy trying to work out what to do. But it's really looking like it's got their name on it, and they're just going to have to make the most of it. I haven't told them exactly what's going on yet. I've just said there's a bit of a blow coming because it's too early. But by tomorrow afternoon, we will absolutely have to start giving them some suggestions and get them ready to prepare. I've got to show. I hope I don't lose the signal there. Someone just rang. Good evening from Italy. As an Australian like you, Don from Adelaide, tell us a bit from the Australian crew. From Port Adelaide. Am I right? Yeah, I'm from Australian crew from Port Adelaide, but I'm not sure. Tell us a bit from the Australian crew. Well, I haven't spoken to Outlaw yet, but there's Outlaw there, and Captain Coconut, he's Australian as well, South Australia, on Explorer. So I'll be telling him tomorrow, rightio, start bolting the floorboards down, get ready for a knockdown, rollover, whatever. It could be a big one developing, but I'll break that to him tomorrow evening. Southampton High. Okay, is this still live? I'm assuming it is. I hope that phone call didn't knock anything out. It's still live. If for some reason or other one of them somehow gets sucked into the center of the second system, will the boat even be able to withstand the beating from the systems? That looks rather dangerous. Both boats are very solid boats. I have no doubt about that. They can handle a lot of stuff. So when I say it's a storm and we're concerned, what we're doing is going through the process of minimizing the impact or trying to get them into a position where they can do it, but where they can manage it better. It's simple as that. But the boats are really good. The crews are good. They're well prepared. They can take a lot of stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just that it's a big blow coming, and you can see the difference with what the rest of the fleet has gone through till now. They haven't seen anything like this. This is what we've seen a lot of, what we used to do with the GGR and all that sort of stuff, because there you can't get out of the way. But these boats normally, if you've got the lead time, we know it's there. We know it's coming. And we've got to balance that. So I'll be having a discussion with a few people on this tomorrow morning, not just me, and we'll look at what we think is the best for both boats to minimise the impact. But they'll be fine. They got, if they weren't prepared for this stuff, they wouldn't be out there. So let's see what happens. Morning Adelaide, scary stuff. It's not scary. It's just you got to pay attention. That's what the boats are made for, and what they planned for and trained for, and all that sort of stuff. So take us to the tracker. Yeah, sorry about that, Don. Can we see the tracker with the lead boats? Thanks for telling us. Jane was watching and she told me. Chilly Southampton. I can imagine it's quite cool in Les Sables d'Olonne at the moment. Okay, screen's on windy. Yes, got that. We can't see anything. We got it at the end. When you get to Auckland, what time UTC do you plan to do your daily tracker updates? Haven't looked at that yet. We'll be changing the times for the SoundCloud call for the entrance. And I'm not sure. We'll probably, if we do the mornings, that's nighttime your time. So I haven't got there yet, but it might not change too much. So we'll let you know. We're not seeing what you're talking about. Yep, we've got that thingo. Thanks. Hi from Guatemala. Ooh, good day, Keith. Big weather ahead. Yep. Why don't Explorer and Sterner slow to allow the system to pass ahead and thus avoid getting caught in the worst? I thought about that as well, but we're discussing lots of things at the moment, but it's a bit hard to get people to slow down. So anyway, yeah. Hi Ada, I saw you just rang. So it was 8:25. Is that now? Yeah, but we're still online by the look of it. So I'll call you in a minute. Okay, I think that's about it. So we'll see you tomorrow, and it'll be a bit more fun for sure.